Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 186, The Passion of Joan of Arc, which is a biography drama history film from 1928. This has an 8.2 on 42,112 votes. So, the mystery line we are revealing today is the one from In the Name of the Father, which was my little tiny voice, "Help me! Help me!" That's about as best as I can do that. So, nobody was able to guess that one correctly, which is kind of weird, but okay. So, it is from The Fly, and it's actually in both versions, so
it is.
Doesn't really matter.
I was like, I love The Fly, so.
So that is what that one was. So we have three colors left. We have red, purple, and light blue.
Purple.
Purple. I see dead people. That is our mystery line for this week. So make sure you take a guess on that one. And it will be revealed in our episode Reign di Basanti. So the spoiler-free synopsis for this film, a classic of the silent age, this film tells the story of the doomed but ultimately canonized 15th century teenage warrior. On trial for claiming she'd spoken to God, Jeanne d'Arc, Joan of Arc, is subjected to inhumane treatment and scare tactics at the hands of church court officials. Initially bullied into changing her story, Jeanne eventually opts for what she sees as the truth. Her punishment, a famously brutal execution, earns her perpetual martyrdom.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally about it.
And none of it is a spoiler because this is all like based on true stuff. So,
yeah, it is. I mean, you can look all this up, so it's not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much the movie.
Literally none of this could be spoiled.
No.
This is actually what happened to Joan of Arc, so.
Yeah. Alright, so this is directed by Carl Theodor Dreyer. He also directed the movies Master of the House, Ordette, and Gertrude. This stars Maria Falconetti, Eugene Silvain, and Andre Berley.
Yep. So the ratings for this. On IMDb, 28% of users rated this out of 10. And it was really close to the amount of people that rated it an 8, which was 22.9. So. Then there was no Metacritic, but Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 98% on 47 critical reviews, so 2 of the fresh. Jamie Christley. This is neither a hopeful nor a hopeless film, but one of feeling so colossal and resplendent, it can't be constrained by prison or consumed by fire. That's kind of funny.
A little bit, yeah. It's a little funny.
Tony Raines. Dreyer's most universally acclaimed masterpiece remains one of the most staggeringly intense films ever made.
What?
I mean, there's times when it's intense, but I wouldn't say it's the most intense film ever made.
Yeah, I would not agree with that at all. There's way more intense films.
Yeah. So there's only one rotten from Variety staff. Here is a deadly, tiresome picture that merely makes an attempt to narrate without sound or dialogue an allegedly written recorded trial in the 15th or 16th century of Joan of Arc for witchery, leading to her condemnation and burning at the stake.
What?
That was a really long way to say they didn't like it because it was boring.
I'm just like, 15th or 16th? Do you not know what time period she's in?
Probably not. They don't know anything at Variety.
I guess
all they know
not.
All I know that they know is, like, fashion.
Yeah, and it's about it. Stick with I guess.
So the consensus. The Passion of Joan of Arc is a must-see cinema for Renee Maria Falconetti's incredible performance alone, and an all-time classic for innumerable other reasons. I will agree about her performance for the most part.
And I can't agree.
There's a few times when I thought she was annoying, but most of the time she was fine for me.
I think my problem is I know too much.
About Joan of Arc?
Yes.
Oh, I just didn't really care about her, so I never really learned more than what they told us, and I don't remember much of what they told us, so. So the money. Couldn't find the budget for this film, but its opening weekend it made $6,408, and domestically it made $21,877, and its top lifetime gross is $14,044. So that's that. Then awards. This did win 2 awards and had 1 other nomination. So the National Board of Review, it is in the top foreign films. The Online Film and Television Association, it was inducted into that Hall of Fame in 2010. And then its nomination that it got, but didn't win, was Village Voice Film Poll. It won Best Film of the Century, or it was nominated, but it got 8th place. So it didn't get the Best Film of the Century. It ended up in 8th place. So.
I'll stop.
So, initial thoughts.
Who wants to go first?
So, I watched this the other day, obviously. But I don't know what it was about it. Like, maybe it was the music that mine was attached to, because the music that mine had was not the music that's normally paired with it. The music that was paired with this one for me was Lamentate by Arvo Part. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of that right, but I felt like it helped the story a lot, because this is a silent film and it's also in French, so you can't read the lips. Even if you try, you're not going to get the right words. It's going to look weird. So I felt like it helped to build a lot of the intensity at times, but then there was also times when I was just like, this part is taking too long. And there were times when I was just like, some of these people are annoying, even though they're not even really, I can't hear them talking. But then also, I felt like the music helped build the story. At least the music that mine was paired with helped build the story up. And there was just something about it. I'm just like, if this was more modern, I felt like I would have liked it better, just because, but it would have to have the same music is my thing. I just really liked the music that this was paired with, and I think that's why I liked it so much. But I was just sitting there thinking, like, what if they redid this and made it more detailed, I guess. Like, not detailed in the way it is in this one, because it focuses a lot on facial features, which I guess is really what, or facial expressions, not features, which is what really has to happen for silent films. I don't know. It wasn't, like, terrible for me, but it also wasn't great. It was just kind of in the middle. Like, I don't really know. Like, there was a lot of things that I felt were not great, and then there was a lot of things that I thought were good. And I just, like, the music just really sold it for me on this one, so I don't know.
I didn't have music.
Really?
I had no music.
That probably is why you didn't like it too much, because mine was paired with some awesome music.
I had no music, so mine was probably more of an original version. So, as you blatantly said, I didn't like it. Maybe music would have helped. I'm not sure. It was so long to me. Again, this was only an hour and a half, really. And it drug on so badly for me. It was just too long. And I don't know how long you could drag out this story. Because the story's not very long. It's literally, what the synopsis said is literally the movie.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, I felt like this could have been a lot shorter. A lot shorter. Like, less than an hour, at least. I didn't like the close-up of the faces. I think it was too much.
The
too much.
close-ups were bothering me, too.
It was too much. I do understand. I love silent films, actually. I really do like them a lot. And this one just is not working for me at all. And it probably doesn't help that I know a lot about the story of Joan of Arc. Because, I'm Catholic. And she's one of the most badass saints ever. So, and it's her portrayed in this movie is complete opposite. Completely opposite of how, she really was. So, that just really bothered me, too. As I was thinking about it after I watched him, that's not how all the stories I know.
The extent of my knowledge of Joan of Arc is from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Well, that's part of it, yeah. I'll give you props for that one. Because that's a good movie.
That's about as much as I've got.
That's a good movie. I love that movie. Excited for the third one. But yeah, I'm I just didn't like this. Maybe I just know too much. And it was just kind of irritating how much it was just what? This is not the Joan of Arc that I have in my head or that I read about. So it just threw me off. She does a decent job of what she was having to work with. But it's just not my cup of tea. And this is our first silent film, right?
Yes, this is our first silent film.
And there's a lot more on our list, so.
Yeah.
That's probably why it's one of the lower ones.
This is actually the third silent film I have seen.
Only the third one?
Yeah, I've seen 2 Charlie Chaplin ones.
Oh. You gotta watch The Phantom of the Opera.
Maybe.
It's a great one. It's considered a horror film.
I don't have a lot of time, though. That's a problem.
Eventually, if you get around to it, I suggest that one. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Anything with Lon Chaney in it.
Well, yeah. Lon Chaney is good.
Exactly. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. And we can get more detail later.
Yeah. I'll talk more about Joan later.
But I think that's all for initial thoughts.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
That was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. And I will say that this was a very hard movie to locate.
It was very hard. I will say that too. It took a while.
Well, and it wasn't really the movie that was hard. It was finding one that had English subtitles.
Yeah, because all the cards are in French. So we're like, okay, so we got to find it with some English subtitles there.
Yeah. Unless you speak French, then have at it. Watch it in French. Because you could probably read their lips a lot better than I was trying to do. Because what I was trying to do was just hum like a bunch of jumbled gook that I have no idea what they were talking about. I was trying, and I was just like, nope, That doesn't make sense. No words.
That's not
a word. That's not a word. So, basically, this is the trial of Joan of Arc.
Pretty much. And, like, it's saying, like, at the very beginning how they find the record of her case. And I'm like, the historian in me was cringing like crazy right here. Because I'm like, if this is a really old artifact, why are you touching it with your bare hands?
Yeah, well, obviously, that one is not a really old artifact. That was most definitely a prop.
I know, but the historian in me was like, what are you doing? Stop. Yeah. Stop. Your oils in your hands, you're gonna disintegrate that.
It just makes, like, you saying that just makes me think of the National Treasure movie, the one where they go get it's like the newest one.
Oh, yeah.
They go get the Declaration of Independence and stuff, and, like, you can't touch it with your hands.
Well, yeah. It's old.
Yeah, that just made me think of that.
It's like, hands, the oils.
It's a bunch of guys, and, like, it seems like they're just getting ready for court and stuff. And it's just a bunch of men, and obviously this is 1400s.
Yes.
So, of course, it's going to be a bunch of men. And they bring in Joan and make her swear on the Bible, which I was just like, that feels like a very modern thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of modern things in here that they forgot that, oh wait, we're supposed to be in the 14th century.
Yeah, that swearing on the Bible thing felt very modern. I wasn't expecting that to happen. But so they start questioning her and, like, asking her what's going on, like, who sent you and stuff, and she's, like, claiming that she was sent by God to save France. And then they go on and ask her, like, about Michael, isn't he an archangel?
Yes, St. Michael the archangel.
But she's, like, not answering them about Michael because she doesn't want to talk about Michael. And then they're asking her about, like, her hair and her clothes and, like, why she is dressing like a man. Because in the 14th century, if you were a woman, you did not dress like a man. And men did not dress like women.
Yeah.
Because it's 1400s, not 14th century, sorry.
14th. Well, technically 14th century would be the 1300s.
Yeah.
So this is the 15th century.
Yeah.
I know, the time periods are weird.
I always get them backwards.
Yeah, I know.
But so... she's, like, giving her answers and stuff, and they keep showing that the monks and stuff, I think they're monks, I don't really know.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's like monks and priests and all that jazz.
Yeah. But she's claiming she's sticking to her guns that God sent her. And then they're like, well, what do you expect from God? And she says, salvation. I'm like, that's a good answer.
That is a wonderful answer. I would have went with that answer too.
I'm like, that's exactly what you should have said. There's one dude, like, yelling at her, like, really, really close to her, like, yelling in her ear, and then he spits on her. And in my mind, I'm like, all this stuff that she goes through during the trial, and, like, actually, because this whole thing is pretty much her trial, I'm like, this is torture tactics? In the 1400s? I've seen a lot of stuff that's, like, in that time period. I'm like, I don't feel like that's torture tactics.
I was like, the Inquisition had not happened yet, so...
Yeah, I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that could be happening that's not. So I feel like some of this was changed for record's sake. No, I'm not talking, like, in the record of what they said happened, but also possibly in the movie, too. Like, both historically and cinematically, this was changed.
Well, yeah, I mean, give it a little more oomph, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like the movie could have given it a little more oomph as well.
Yeah, when we get to that part, I was like, come on, are you going to do something or not? What was it? There's this one dude who was, he's, like, calling her, like, a saint, and he actually, like, believes in her and everything, so.
Yeah.
There's that.
And they start sending the soldiers outside.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I feel like this is part of the problem with silent films is they start doing some things, but then they don't put a card up to kind of explain it.
Yeah, that would have been a good spot to put a card. Like, okay, why are they going outside?
I'm like, where are they going? What's going on? There was a few times in this, I'm like, wait, what's going on? I need a card.
Yeah, silent films, I mean, you have to, like, tell the audience what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like this one, they assumed people had more knowledge of the events than some people have. Because, like, me coming in, like, my knowledge being from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I don't know much about what's going on. I know that she did a lot for France, but other than that, I'm like, I don't really know what's going on.
I was like, yeah, and then I know a little more than what's going on, so, like, okay.
But
don't always agree with everything, but
yeah. So they ask her if God made any promises to her, and she says that's not pertinent information, pretty much.
I was like, she's like, in, like, the normal way, like, modern day, it's pretty much she's saying, none your business.
Yeah, like, I plead the fifth, pretty much. Plead the fifth!
She's like, I'm not telling you shit.
But they all take a vote, I guess, to make her say what she's hiding. I don't really know. But they vote, because they all start raising their hands. And one man doesn't put his hand up, but then the guy that's doing the questioning, like, glares at him, and he puts his hand up. I was like, that's kind of funny. And then I don't remember what she says, because I don't know if they put a card up for that or not. But
I know they asked her if God was going to get her out of jail.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she's like, eventually, I guess.
Yeah, she's like, God's gonna set me free. And my mind's just like, okay, there's multiple different ways that you could be set free. You can really be set free.
Physically, mentally.
I mean, die, or you could escape. Like, there's so many set frees.
There is. You gotta be very specific on what that means. But she's being vague for a reason.
Yeah, I need some more context here, please. I need to know what's happening. But, so, then they decide to take a break.
They lead her out, and they're trying to get this confession out of her.
Yeah. And so they start, like, they're gonna send this letter to the king, but then they don't, and they just forge a letter from the king, basically telling Joan that she needs to confess. And my entire time here, I'm just like, with, like, the whole story of Joan of Arc in general, not just this movie, I'm just like, why don't you just let her do it? Just shut up. She's a messenger of God. Just shut up. Accept it. You guys are people of God.
It's a woman, though.
This is just part of my beef with religion. I'm just like, she is saying God is telling her to do this. Just shut up and let her do it then. Like, it's just like my whole thing. I don't know.
I understand that. I do.
Like, there's other, like, the priests and stuff are like, oh, this is what God says. And then if somebody else is like, no, God says this, they're like, oh, shun you.
Yeah, that has happened. I will say that. There's just a lot of people who have a hard time believing someone when they say that.
Yeah, that's my thing with religion.
And with this one, they think she's crazy, too.
Yeah, because she's a woman.
And she's a woman. And God forbid that God speak to a woman.
Yeah.
Of course, these are all men. And they're all very narrow-minded. And they think that their way is the highway. Yeah.
Well, it is the 1400s.
Don't get me started.
1400s.
Oh, it's still like that. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. We don't have any women priests at all. And I would love that.
They start messing with Joan, trying to get her to confess. And they're, like, taking her ring and messing with her and stuff. And then one guy comes in and says he has a letter from the king. And the letter says that she needs to trust this man. I'm like, you're just gonna believe that? Okay. You need to, like, my mind, you need to bring the king's happy butt down here to talk to me personally if you're trying to say he said this.
Yeah, because I don't believe you.
Yeah.
And she just like, this is what gets me. I'm like, so she just like, will just like willingly accepts that. And I'm like, again, that's not the image I have of Joan of Arc in my head.
Yeah.
Just blindly accepting that someone's telling her the truth like that.
Yeah. So, a bunch more monks come in and start questioning her about God again. And she keeps looking over to the guy that had brought the letter. And, like, kind of like for confirmation or something. Like, should I answer this question? And then he would do a slight little nod, and then she would answer the question. And then they're asking her if she needs the church and stuff, and she's like, well, yeah, I need God and I need the church and stuff, but I'm not gonna back up from what I'm saying. Like, this is really what's going on. And they're just super mad, as they have been the entire time.
Yeah. And I know she asked them if she can go to Mass, and they won't let her.
They said she can go to Mass if she changes her clothes. And then she says she's not changing her clothes until God's work is done.
Yeah.
I'm like, stubborn and more stubborn.
The stubborn part was good, because that's how she was. She was stubborn.
Yeah. And they keep saying that she is under the influence of Satan. And she's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, calling her a disgrace and everything.
Yeah. And then they're gonna torture her.
Yeah, and they're like, she had made like a crown out of rope.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be like, like the crown of thorns and all that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty common thing to know. The crown of thorns, with Jesus and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay, good.
I know that. They put it on his head and then hung him on the cross.
Yeah.
Nailed his hands and feet.
Yeah. Crucifixion's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a painful death. That is very painful.
So this beginning of the torture part here, I thought was kind of funny. Because I don't know if these guys were the torturers or if they were just coming in and messing with her. But there's 3 guys in there, and it reminded me of the Three Stooges and the Marx Brothers.
I was thinking that too, actually.
Like, both of those 2 groups, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be hilarious. And then that one guy, he, gets up and gets a stick and, starts messing with her ear with the stick. And I'm just like, what is going on?
They're, poking at her and all that. I'm like, really?
And it looks like they were trying to tickle her, not torture her. And I'm just like, is this supposed to be funny? Because it kind of is. And I feel like that was not supposed to be funny, and I'm just finding it funny because I'm a horrible person.
Oh, I thought it was funny, too. Don't worry.
Okay. But so they keep messing with her and messing with the crown that she's made. And then they give her an arrow and are, making fun of her. And then they take her to the real torture chamber. And this is what I was thinking in terms of torture. This torture chamber.
And I like how she calls him out at this point. She pretty much calls them pompous assholes.
Yeah.
In modern day terms. I had to make this interesting for myself. So I was like, she calls them out for being pompous assholes. I'm like, now that's the Joan I know.
Yeah. And so we get a bunch of shots of the torture chamber stuff and everything. And she still won't confess anything. But then I guess she passes out or something.
Yeah, it's like that spinning the wheel that keeps going faster and faster. And it's got I don't know, what are those called? Spikes?
Yeah, little spiky things.
And it goes faster and faster. And she freaks out and passes out. I'm like, they didn't do anything to you.
Yeah. And this is where I think they may have changed it for sake of theatrics, or not even theatrics, like they may have changed, I don't know, like in the actual history of what happened if they changed it, or if they just changed it for the movie, her passing out like this, because I feel like just knowing the little bit I do know about her, she wouldn't have just passed out from them showing her. I feel like they would have been torturing her and then she passed out. So it's just a matter of, I don't know if the movie, like if the director changed it when he was writing it, or if they changed it in the actual history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, like, you don't know. But I feel like it was definitely changed. Like, that felt unrealistic to me.
It was just for theatrics. That's what I'm thinking.
But so they carry her back to her room, and the one guy's like, they don't want her to die a natural death. They need her alive. So they start giving her medical attention.
They bleed her out because she has a fever. Because that's
Yeah.
what you do when you have a fever back then. You get bled out. Because that's going to help get the fever out.
Like, the fever is what's going to help get the fever out, honestly.
I'm like, just let it go. It'll do it itself.
But I feel like this is also the problem of watching something like this that's based in that time now, and also making something like this that's based in that time, because our medical knowledge has changed so much. Like, we know so much more than we knew in 1400.
And I was thinking to myself, like, are they going to get leeches?
I was expecting that to come next, too.
See? Okay, we thought the same thing. I was waiting for the leeches.
They got all that stuff out and, like, poked her and stuff. And I was like, okay, where's the leech at? Where's it? Because that's what they did.
Yeah.
They didn't use a tube. They used leeches. So that's what I was expecting. I'm like, well, maybe leeches were too expensive. So they just used a tube.
Maybe.
Fake blood. But, of course, like, leeches, you could just, like, especially in a black and white silent film, just get a little glob of gook and stick it on her arm and it's a leech.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not that hard.
But, so yeah, they're trying to heal her. But so she wakes up and the judge comes in and bombarding her with questions again. And she's convinced she's gonna die.
And she asked to be buried on consecrated ground.
Yep.
Yep.
Which, I'm just like, well, then the Sanderson sisters can't get you, so you're good there.
Exactly.
Because that's all I know about that. If you're buried on consecrated ground, the Sanderson sisters cannot touch down there, so you're good.
I was like, technically it's just ground that's been blessed, so...
Nope, it's safe from the Sanderson sisters.
That
That's
too.
What it means.
That
That's what it means. All of my knowledge comes from movies and books. Like, everything that I learned in school just shoop out the window.
Out the window. The movies are where it's at.
Yep, movies and books. And TV shows.
So, they come in, they're like, oh, we'll be merciful to you, you know. So, they come in and they bring, like, they set up, like, a little altar with, like, candles and everything. Like, this priest comes in carrying the Holy Sacrament.
So what I was thinking was this, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but this is like her last rites type thing. Like they were reading her, like they were gonna do her prayer before she died type thing.
Not this time. Not this
Well, no,
one.
is that what like they were gonna do? Because she, like, they were trying to make her think that they were gonna do because she was like asking them, or because it seemed like it was kind of a trick to get her to confess again.
It is a trick. This one, it is. The one near the end of the movie, that one is.
Okay. So this is like a trick type last rites.
Yeah, and they don't really call it last rites anymore.
What is it called now?
They just call it the anointing of, like, the sick and everything. Because last rites sounds really bad.
So they're like trying to get her to sign this confession and stuff, and she still won't do it. Like, she's so stubborn. And so the monks are like, alright, well, we're just gonna execute you then, cause And I was just like, well, this is a lose-lose situation for her, because they're going to execute her if she doesn't say it, and they're going to execute her if she does say it. Like, nothing good is going to come out of her saying yes. Because
it's like, she has to, like, tiptoe away around everything.
Yeah.
It's like, because if you say something wrong, you're screwed, so.
Yeah. And then, so they're getting all that ready, like, getting the, all the steak ready.
They do take her outside to do one last attempt to get her to confess, like, in front of a bunch of people, too.
Yeah. And there's, like, this person digging, which I was like, are they digging her grave? Like, when she dies? Is this what this is?
I won't go into that yet. And, like, there's, like, this skull that comes up, too.
Yeah, I saw that, too.
It's got maggots in it.
Yeah.
I like that.
I was like, oh, you can do some maggots, but you can't do a leech?
Nah.
They spent all their money on the maggots.
Because maggots are expensive.
I guess so. But they're still, like, she's outside now, and they're still trying to get her to sign. And so she finally agrees to sign it. And she has help while she's signing it. I did notice there was a couple of little points in there when someone was helping her sign it.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like that's not supposed to happen.
It shouldn't be happening, because she should be doing it on her own free will, but someone kind of just had to help her along a little bit.
Yeah. But then they're reading what her sentence is, like, after she's confessed. Like, how long she's gonna be in jail, or how she's gonna die, and all that.
I think it said, like, life imprisonment or something.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I was reading.
But all the... I'm going to call them what I call them for a book series that I read. All the dirt people, because, you know, they're the little peasants and stuff as the monks see them. Dirt people. That's what I refer to them from a book series that I read, because the podcast that I go along with it, they call them dirt people. And I'm like, that's a great description.
I mean, it works. I mean, they're all dirty.
It's not the best thing in the world, but I'm just like, I would be okay with being a dirt person.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
I would much rather be a dirt person. Just leave me alone. Let me live my life in the dirt here. But so, yeah, they're all cheering for her. And it kind of starts this, not like major thing, but people are getting mad and stuff. Because she's getting sentenced, and they all believe her to be a savior, pretty much. And there's even one guy that gets thrown in the water because he's just being too much of a butthead. Just, like, yelling and stuff.
Yeah.
They throw him in the water.
She gets her hair cut off.
Yeah, and while that's happening, they show a bunch of performers. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah,
right
that's
now?
what I was puzzled, too. I'm like, why is there, like, this sideshow stuff going on right now?
I'm like, why do we need this right now? Because I feel like this is the very dramatic moment, and you're just, like, killing it with these performers here. And then she's, like, back in her room, right?
Yeah.
They take her back, and she starts asking for the judges, all the monks and stuff, and they come in, and she tells them that she lied. Like, that confession was false.
And they're like, but you already signed it.
And she's like, nope. And she says she was afraid. And then so the judges are like, okay, well, we're gonna go prepare your execution again.
And she, like, willingly accepts it this time. She's like, okay.
Yeah. And then she's got two people there with her doing her last rites.
Yes.
She's not sick, so but this is her last rites. This is her last scary story.
Yes. I love that now. Oh, that's great.
That's what it needs to be called from now on.
The last scary story.
Yes. That's what it's gonna be.
I approve.
So, she's just saying that she tells them death is going to be her release, like her freedom. And so they take her back outside, and the crowd's all yelling and everything, being called back again. They had dispersed, but now they're back. And I feel like this took a lot longer in real life than it did in the movie, because I feel like in between the time that she was out there the first time and the time now when she's going to actually be executed, I feel like it might have been like a morning type thing and then like a more of an evening type thing for the second one. Just because I'm like, there's no way this all happened within like 20 minutes.
Yeah, no. That didn't happen in 20 minutes. I was like, real life, no.
Like, the way it's depicted, it makes it seem like 20 minutes. I'm like, no way.
Nah.
Because even in other silent films, the way time passes, like, at least in the few that I've seen, the way time passes is more distinct than the way it passes in this film.
It is. Yeah. I've seen
But that's
too,
a problem
so.
even now. You have a hard time, even now, sometimes knowing how much time has passed.
Like in The Name of the Father?
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Well, that one's... Yeah, that is a good example. But that one is still even... That one's 1993, so that's still 20 years older than now. Almost 30 years older now. And that... There's still even movies that have come out now that I'm just like, really? How long is this taking place for? Because I feel like that's not right.
Yeah.
It's just a common occurrence in films. Like, I feel like it needs to be a distinguishable event. Like, I need to know how much time has passed.
I mean, some movies are pretty good at that. Some are.
Yes, some are really good, but then there's others I'm just like, wait, how long is this supposed to take place over?
Yeah, like, when we get to Gone with the Wind, actually, that's a decent example of how time passes. But, of course, that's a 4-hour movie. So, they got plenty of time to do it.
Another one that's, like, super long, but also I feel like we could tell how much time passed was Gangs of Wasseypur.
Yeah, I would agree with that one.
Felt like that was a good one.
I mean, it was a 5.5-hour movie.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, in a 5.5-hour movie, if you don't take the time to show us how much time has passed, you just got some problems.
Exactly.
But they had other problems, so.
Yeah.
At least they got the time passing, right? But so, they're taking her up there and doing her prayer and stuff. And they have her, she's got this cross in her hands, I guess, for her prayer. And then they are trying to take it away from her, and she doesn't want to let it go. Just, like, tugging back on it and not letting it go and stuff.
Now, did yours have the random boob in yours?
No.
Yours didn't have the random boob?
No.
Like the baby nursing on a boob?
No.
Really? Mine did. Like, just, like, right during the scene, too. When they're trying to take away, like, her cross that she had. There's this baby breastfeeding. And then it, like, takes itself off the boob. You see full nipple and everything. And then the baby's like, because the baby's like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, never mind, I'm going to keep eating. And then it just goes back, latches on. I'm like, why was this in there? You didn't get the breastfeeding baby?
Nope, didn't see that. They just focused on the cross.
Oh, okay.
Her trying to pull the cross back from them.
Yeah, it was really random.
That's funny. And then, they get the cross away from her, and her execution takes place.
Yeah, it's tied to the stake, and it's lit.
Yep. And then this starts a big, huge riot.
Yeah, it does.
And the riot is like, I felt like it was like 5 minutes. Like,
it was a long time.
It was a movie time 5 minutes, I feel like. But I feel like, of course, real life time, it was probably way longer than 5 minutes. But I feel like that is one thing that they did a good job of in showing how much the people cared about Joan of Arc.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would.
I felt like that was a very, very good depiction of that. But that's pretty much it. At the end, they pull up the drawbridge to close the people out so they can't get in.
I will admit I like this part where she's dying. I know that sounds terrible of me, but it was good visually.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, she starts getting, like, engulfed in the smoke and everything. And you do see that she does die from, you know, like, the smoke and everything. It's not the burn, not the fire that kills her. It's the smoke.
Smoke inhalation.
That's what does it. And then you see, like, as the flame goes up, you see, like, her slumping over and looking like she's actually burning. And I was like, now that's a good effect.
Yeah.
I did like that. For 1928? That was a good effect. I did like that.
But yeah, that's the end of the movie.
That's the end. Done.
So, music for this. Like I said earlier, the music that was played with mine was Lamentate by Arvo Part. And I don't think that was, based on the stuff that I found, that was never a pairing that was theatrical pairing, like, you know, when they release it in theaters or anything like that. This was just somebody was watching the movie and there's like, hey, you know what? This is going to be a good pairing for this. And actually, I thought it was really well done. Like, that music went really well with the film. Then there are two that have a date. Jasper Kidd did something in 2007, did a score for it. I didn't get the chance to listen to any of the scores. And then in 1982, Ole Smith, that's kind of funny. Ole Smith in 1982 did a score. And then there was two other ones that didn't have a date for it. Victor Alex and Leo Poget were two other scores that were created for this. And I don't know what the years were for that, but a lot of times they would just play live music with the Passion, or not with the Passion. They would play live music with silent films. So it could have been anywhere from the time this was actually released to 1982 when the first credited known score was created for this. But like I said earlier, I felt like the music that mine was paired with did a lot for the movie. Especially the second half of the movie, I felt like. That's about it.
Like, I have music. No opinion.
Yeah, you didn't have any music for yours, so...
No opinion.
It's hard for you to say something that you didn't have, so...
Exactly.
But... as we said earlier, this is based on true events. Like, she was a real person. This did really happen. She was really executed. Stuff like that. But I guess that kind of feeds into the trivia, really.
I was like, she was another badass, if you want to go with that. She literally went with the French army, marched into battle with no weapons at all, because that was not her thing. And she totally helped him win, like, every single time. And she's always portrayed with having dressed up in armor and everything and carrying her flag and just, you know, marching into battle. And I was like, what a badass. And that tells nothing in this movie. You have to have some background of Joan of Arc to know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I feel like me not really knowing anything about Joan of Arc kind of hindered me in watching this movie.
It would have been nice if they'd, like, you know, given you some background, maybe like a flashback or something of her in battle.
Well, and also...
even mentioned it.
So, both of us watched a version of this that was 1 hour and 36 minutes.
Yes.
So, we are missing about 20 minutes of this movie. So, there's a possibility they did that and we just didn't get to see it. So, I don't really know what was in that missing 20 minutes that we didn't get to see. So there's a possibility of it being some type of background.
And I was reading in, like, other reviews I've read, and all the ones I'm saying, they did not give any background.
Oh, okay.
So I did look through the reviews. I did. To see if, you know, because my version was shorter, if I was, you know, missing something. No.
Okay.
There wasn't. Yeah. So she was another badass. She really was. Like, you know, marching into battle with no weapons at all. helped him and everything. The French, went over the English and everything. And this is why she's the patron saint of France.
Yeah.
Patron saint of France and of, I believe it's soldiers. Yes, soldiers. And she was only 19 when she died.
Yeah.
That is true. She was only 19. Okay, I do have some trivia about the movie. I do, besides just Joan herself. So this was probably why I didn't like it so much. So, the director learned that the original master print had been destroyed. The original print of it.
Oh.
And so he had to re-edit the movie from things he had rejected before.
So this is like the reject film.
Yes, of what he originally wanted.
Alright.
So I'm like, so what could have happened?
Yeah, that makes me really curious as to, because, like I said, I didn't have a problem, I didn't have a huge problem with this movie, but I also didn't like it a lot. It was just kind of in the middle for me. So that makes me wonder, could it have been really, really good? Or could it have been super bad? I want to see the other one.
It's like it was destroyed.
I want to see it, though.
I would love to know what that version is. I would have loved to.
Right.
That would have been great.
I'm so curious. Because especially if he was disappointed that it was destroyed. If he was super happy with it. And
he had no time to reshoot it either.
Yeah.
There's no time to reshoot. So he just had to use the footage that he had still. I'm like, oh, come on. So we never know what the original was going to be like. Sadly. So I thought this was actually pretty cool. So when they're bleeding her out, bloodletting, that's an actual person they are doing that to.
Oh.
Not Maria. It was a stand-in. But it was actually somebody actually getting their arm cut, and that's their actual blood.
Oh.
I was like, oh, real blood. Okay. They use real blood, but no makeup. No makeup at all. And that's not very common at all, especially for silent films. Because a lot of silent films, they use makeup. Especially around the eyes and the lips.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what you want to focus on more in silent films.
Oh, I have one. I
Um,
just discovered I have one.
Let me get to the music one. But
Okay.
I was going to talk about, and then I'll do yours. Then we can do yours.
Okay.
So, you're right. They did show, when they showed it in the theaters, they did have live music for it, like most silent films. But there was never an actual, score for it. The director never actually picked a score at all.
So it was just whatever.
So whatever anyone
people
wanted
felt like
to put
playing.
on there. Yes. That's probably why mine was silent. No
Well, that makes
music
more
at
sense
all.
because then it's more of a performance rather than just watching something.
Yes.
I feel like, and that might be what he was going for. I don't know, but since he didn't pick something, he may have just been like, let's just, when it's released, have these performers do what they're feeling as they're watching it, which I feel like can be a really good thing.
It can be.
Because that's kind of how scores are made now, is composers get the story, and then there a lot of times they will watch bits and pieces of things that have already been filmed and make the score based upon that. This is the last thing, or the last movie that Maria Falconetti did. She did this and two other things. One of them was a short called Le Clown, so my guess is about a clown. And that was 11 years before The Passion of Joan of Arc. And then La Comtesse de Sommevrave, something like that. I probably said that really wrong. But those two she did in 1917, and then 11 years later she does this, and this is the last thing she does. And I feel like there were parts of her performance that weren't the best, especially the close-ups. The close-ups were hard for me.
Hell yeah.
But then there were other parts of her performance I'm just like, really? Someone that's only been in 3 things has performed this way when there's people now that have been in way more and can't perform this way? With lines? With being able to speak?
It's like it's a whole other ball game when it's a silent film.
Yeah. I felt like there were times when her performance was super powerful. It's just, I feel like the close-ups really ruined part of it.
Oh, I totally forgot about this. Into the trivia. So, the sets that they use, those are the most expensive part of the production. But you don't get to see them.
Yeah, because there's close-ups.
All the
whole
time. The sets were really beautiful. You just don't get to see them very often.
That's a directorial mistake.
That is complete. But again, there's that mention, of course, of...
Yeah, that's true. We don't know what it was that he had done before. Like, maybe these close-ups were stuff that he was like, I don't know. And just decided, yep, we're not going to have this in there. And a bunch of the other stuff was the far out shots and like medium shots.
And it just puzzles me. I'm like, people love this version. And I'm like, well, what would the other one have been?
Yeah. I'm curious of that too. But we'll never know.
Never know.
So, where it has been on the list before, in 2010 it was number 208. 2012 and 2014 it was not on the list. 2016 it jumped way up to 156. 2018 back down to 203, and as of today when we are recording it is number 206. So except for that one jump in 2016, it kind of just sits in the 200s. It just sits there. Like, it moves a little bit, but pretty much that's it.
Okay.
And then, so previously number 186 in 2010, 8.5 from 1963. 2012, The Graduate from 1967. 2014, The 400 Blows from 1959. 2016, Platoon from 1986, which we had last week. 2018, In the Name of the Father from 1993, which we had 2 weeks ago. Well, 3 weeks ago because of our Halloween event. And then as of today when we are recording, Hacksaw Ridge from 2016.
Huh.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you have any trivia about this for my podcast that...
Oh, yeah.
besides this being our first silent film?
So, yes. Besides this being our first silent film, as of right now, this is our oldest film. It is 11 years older than The Wizard of Oz, which was our oldest film up until today. And then this is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our 6th French film.
Really? That many already?
Yeah, this is our 6th one. So that's kind of cool. And then, surprisingly, there are 2 movies that have less votes than this. Paper Moon and The Knights of Cabiria both have less votes than this. Not by much, by about 5,000, but still.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
I like Knights.
I liked both of those, but...
Again, it's something about Ryan O'Neal. I don't know why. It's like, I have the same issue with Will Smith, too.
That's fine. It happens.
It happens. There's just certain actors just like, nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
I have a few of those actors. So. But yeah, so that is what we've got for our podcast, as of movies we've seen so far. But yeah, like Jess said, this is our first silent film. But I think it's crazy that we've already watched 6 French films.
Yeah, I'm amazed too.
And I think, I don't know, I think we're about 50-50 on stuff that's above 5 and stuff that's below 5 at the moment. I don't know. We got to see how this one ranks. For French, anyways. But, so, next is favorite line.
Well, it's a silent film, so we have to go off subtitles.
Yeah, I have to go with the cards.
I
think I have 3.
I have 4.
Okay. So, one that I kind of thought was funny was, "So you believe God hates the English?" I was just like, that's kind of funny. It had me cracking up. I don't know why.
I mean, I can see that. I can see why. Especially since you know who you're married to and everything.
Yeah, he's half British. That has nothing to do with your trial. And then, I have great sympathy for you.
We don't share any lines.
Really?
No. That's surprising. There's usually at least one.
Yeah. And there's not that many lines in this movie.
I know.
So
I have
that's
4.
Crazy.
How do you distinguish between a good angel and a bad angel? I have never done anyone any harm. That was a fatal answer. And that's probably my favorite one. You have burned a saint.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one. Let's do that one.
So you have burned a saint. I mean, they did burn her, and they burned her actually 3 times.
That's crazy.
Crazy fact there.
So, our rating. Like I said earlier, this is kind of in the middle for me. So I'm giving it a 5 because I was looking at my other movies. I started at like my 4s. Actually, no, I started at my 3s and I was like, no, I think it's better than both of these. And then I was looking at my 4s and it was better than those. And then I was looking at my 5s and that's where it seemed to fit because in my opinion, it was better than some of my 5s. And then there was some of my other 5s that I liked better than it. And like I said earlier, I feel like it has a lot to do with the music for the second half, and also the second half I felt like is where Maria's acting just really sold what was happening. Because the first half of the movie, she seems kind of the opposite of what I would expect Joan of Arc to be, just based on the little bit that I do know about her. But then the second half, her acting and the music both built it up so well, and I felt like there was a lot of tension in her acting and a lot of tension in the music that helped out the story a lot, especially because that's after they have taken her, like, I'm talking after they took her to the torture chamber and she has awakened from passing out. I feel like that's when she goes, like, really got super stubborn and started not really putting up with any of the crap that these monks were giving her. And then the parts that I didn't really like was all the close-ups, which it makes sense now because this is a reject film.
It is.
Like, it's bad to say that, but the director didn't want these shots, so therefore it is a reject film. And I feel like that's part of the reason I don't think it's as good as it could have been, because of all these close-ups. Like, I felt like there was way too many close-ups. And then also, I felt like not knowing a lot about Joan of Arc kind of hindered me in knowing what was going on. Like, yeah, I do know some about her, but I feel like there was a lot that I was missing and they could have expanded upon that. And I also felt the first half of the movie was pretty slow. Like, up until after the torture chamber. Actually, no, the Three Stooges bit is where it started to kind of pick up for me. And then after the torture chamber, getting into her confessing and stuff is where it really was just, like, super intense. So, it's just kind of right there in the middle for me, because there was a lot that I did like, and there was a lot that I didn't like. So.
Yeah, mine's I agree with a lot you said. I'm having a hard time picking the number. It's not as terrible as, like, my worst hated movie, Hachi. But it's not, like, with my 5s. It's, like, between 3 and 4 for me.
So what I did is I just, like, looked at all my
that's what I was
in there,
just
and I was
looking
like,
at.
okay, what movie can I put it in between here?
I was looking at that, and I was like, well, it's around the same as Bourne Ultimatum, but I actually like this one just a little bit better than that. And that one's
okay.
a 3, so I might lean towards the 4 on this one.
You want to know what's funny?
What?
I kind of put this right underneath Bourne Ultimatum for me.
Well, I hate that series, so.
I put Bourne Ultimatum just above this, at least so far. For like when I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? I liked Bourne Ultimatum just a little bit more than this.
And I like this one a little bit more than that one.
I think that's funny that that's what we used.
That is our standard Bourne Ultimatum. Yeah, it just, again, like you said, a lot of the close-ups. And, like, I really wish we could have seen what the real film was going to be like.
Yeah.
That bugged me. I was like, are you kidding me? This could have been so different.
Yeah.
And I feel like he filmed the close-ups for a reason. But I feel like he probably didn't want to use that many.
Yeah. So, one thing I did want to go back to real quick is in the consensus, the critics' consensus from Rotten Tomatoes, it says, The Passion of Joan of Arc is a must-see cinema. And that right there, I'm like, you know what? I don't think that they're wrong. I feel like this is definitely something everyone should see if you love movies like we do. And not because of what it is about, but more of because, like, the history of the movie alone, and also because of the acting in the second half. Because I feel like there's some movies on this list I regret watching, but this one I'm just like, I don't regret watching, like I'm glad I watched it.
I did like the take on it. It was interesting take on it for sure.
Yeah.
Because there's really not many movies about Joan of Arc. There really isn't.
That's the other thing I was kind of thinking throughout watching this. I'm like, why hasn't this been remade? All these remakes we're getting right now. Why hasn't something like this been done? Why is this still the newest Joan of Arc movie?
I feel like this could have been like you could expand this story, like starting with like when she first starts getting the visions when she's like 13. And then start expanding on that more, like when she goes into battle and all that. And then when she gets, arrested and captured.
Yeah.
And, like,
I feel like
you can do, like, her whole life story as a movie. And you can use this as a basis for it, if you want.
Yeah, there's so much that could be done based on the Joan of Arc story. And this being, like, the only source material there is, movie-wise, for her, I feel like is kind of a letdown.
And she's a badass. Come on. It's like, just look up any picture of Joan of Arc, and you see her as a badass.
Yeah. I feel like this and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, that's
about it.
The only cinematic presentation of Joan of Arc we really get.
Yeah. I'm like, she would make such a great movie. Yeah. She really would.
So hint, hint, people that make movies.
Get on that.
Because I feel like that would be something that I would go see if I saw something about, like a trailer about a new Joan of Arc movie. I would go see it.
Oh, hell yeah, me too.
And that's not just knowing who Joan of Arc is. I feel like that's also because of this movie. Because, like, the entire time I was like, this would be a really good modern day thing that somebody could do, and nobody's doing it. Like, why not?
Expand it.
Yeah.
Like I said, if they expand on the story.
Yeah.
And, again, maybe not so much on the close-ups. I mean, the close-ups were just getting me. I was like, oh, God. I even text you. I text Kat and everything. I was like, is this slow the entire time? She's like, yeah, pretty much. I'm like, gosh, shit.
Yeah.
I did. I said that. Well, actually, I said a bigger bad word, but... But, yeah, I think I'm going to give this a 4. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. Because, again, I just, like, there's just some parts of it, like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, that's not the Joan of Arc that I would know. I'm like, I feel like she's more, like, in her story, she's more portrayed as someone who's very strong-willed, stubborn. You saw glimpses of it in this.
Yeah.
Which I was happy for. At least she wasn't the entire time a sniveling wimp. Yeah. I didn't like that. She did show glimmers of her. How I think of her and how she's portrayed in all the stories. So, I kind of wish there was some music on my copy. I'm not going to lie now.
I'm telling you, that music just, I feel like it really made it for me. I feel like if there hadn't been music on mine, I probably would have turned it off.
It was a struggle to get through. I'm not going to lie to you.
I would have gotten distracted by something. Because I mean, you know me, I get distracted super easily, but the music that was paired with the one I watched was great. Like, if it really, really worked with the movie.
Oh, well.
So, our next film is It Happened One Night from 1934. And I think this is in black and white. I don't know.
It is in black and white. It's got, I'll say this, I like this actor. It's got Clark Gable in it.
Yeah, I do recognize that name.
He's also very famous for being in a movie later on our list, Gone with the Wind.
Yep. But, yep, that is out next week. And like we said, it is in black and white. And we go back to English again. And actually people talking instead of silent film.
It's like, yeah, this is... I don't think Kat's going to like this next one coming up.
Probably not.
It's a romantic comedy. So,
yeah.
That's... It's almost as bad as a musical for Kat.
Actually, I think it's worse.
Is it worse?
There are no romantic comedies that I like. There's
some musicals I know you like.
I like, so.
All right. That's good to know, everybody.
So, we'll see how this one goes.
We'll see.
It is older romantic comedy, so I feel like it might be different from the ones now. So, and this was to be the first older romantic comedy I see. Like, most of them I've seen are newer than 2000. So.
And I've seen older romantic comedies, so I'm just gonna hold my breath and just wait.
And see how I feel.
Exactly, because I have an idea in my head, but I'm just gonna wait till you watch it.
So, our event coming up, as you guys know, we did just have our Halloween event, and I hope you guys liked that, because we had a lot of fun doing it.
Oh, yeah.
But our next event is our holiday event, which will be out at the end of December. And this will be, the two movies I picked are Babes in Toyland from 1986 and Krampus from 2015.
Okay, so Santa Claus is Coming to Town from 1970 and The Nightmare Before Christmas from 1993.
We are offering premium. If you would like to get premium, you just go to our website, catandjusttalkthebest.podbean.com. You go over to the right and scroll down a little bit. There are two options. The first option is $1 a month. You will get uncut episodes, early release episodes, and a special monthly episode. And then for $5 a month, you will get all of that. Plus, you will be able to join us for a movie of your choice every 50 movies. Or, if you would like, instead of a movie of your choice every 50 movies, you could join us for one event other than Harry Potter, because that one we already have our guests for. So, you can choose if you are a $5 patron or premium member, patron, same thing. Our special monthly episode for November is going to be Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, and we're just going to talk about them and discuss why we like them, their effect on cinema and stuff like that. And all that premium does is it helps us pay for the website. So all that money would go to that. It wouldn't go into our pockets. It just goes to the website.
Yeah.
If you cannot help us out that way, you could always leave us ratings and reviews, because those help us out a lot. Ratings help us get more listeners. Reviews help us know what we could do better and what you guys like. So that would be very helpful as well. Or you could share the show with your friends. That helps us get more listeners as well. If you are trying to interact with us, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or you can email us. That includes our mystery line if you're trying to guess what the movie is for that. You can respond on any of those, as well as you could email us if you would like. So yeah, that is all of that. Our music is by Audiobinger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobinger.net. So until next time with It Happened One Night, thank you all so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.